Hi everyone, so today I would like to explain Chapter 2, Principle of Language Assessment from Language Assessment book by Douglas Brown. So let's get started. Practicality. How do you know if a test is effective? Let's identify 5 cardinal criteria for testing a test. There are practicality, reliability, validity, authenticity, and washback. First is practicality. Practicality. An effective test is practical. This means that it is not excessively expensive, stays within appropriate time constraints, and relatively easy to administer, and has a scoring or evaluation procedure that is specific and time efficient. And then reliability. The issues of reliability of a test may best be addressed by considering a number of factors that may contribute to the unreliability of a test. Consider the following possibilities. The first, students-related reliability. The most common learner-related issue is reliability. It's caused by temporary illness, fatigue, apathy, anxiety, and other physical or psychological factors which may make an observed score deviate from one's true score. And then rater reliability. In the rater, reliability occurs when two or more scorers yield inconsistent scores of the same test, possibly for lack of attention to scoring criteria, inexperience, inattention, or even preconceived biases. Meanwhile, intra-rater reliability is a common occurrence for classroom teachers because of unclear scoring criteria, fatigue, bias toward particular good and bad students, or simple carelessness. And then test administration reliability. Unreliability may also result from the conditions in which the test is administered. For example, the street noise when using a tape recorder for comprehension, and in photocopying variation in vary the amount of light in different parts of room, temperature, and even the condition of desk and chair. And then test reliability. If a test is too long, test takers may become fatigued by the time they reach the later items and nastily respond incorrectly. And then validity. A test validity may focus on the consequences of a test even on the test taker's perceptions of validity. We will look at these 5 types of evidence. Content-related evidence. You can usually identify content-related evidence of observationally if you can clearly define the achievement that you are measuring. Another way of understanding content validity is to consider the difference between direct and indirect testing. Direct testing involves the test takers in actually performing the target task. In an indirect test, learners are not performing the task itself, but rather a task that is related in some way. And then criteria-related evidence usually falls into one of 2 categories, concurrent and predictive validity. A test has a concurrent validity if its results are supported by other concurrent performance beyond the assessment itself. The predictive validity of an assessment becomes important in the case of placement tests, admissions assessment batteries, language aptitude tests, and the like. And then construct-related evidence. A construct is a theory, hypothesis, or model that attempts to uh, explain observed phenomena in our universe of perception. Construct may or may not be directly or empirically measured. The verification often requires inferential data. And then also we have consequential validity and the face validity. Now, the first validity is refers to the degree to which a test looks right and appears to measure the knowledge or abilities it claims to measure based on the subjective judgment of the examinees who take it, the administrative personnels who decide on its use, and other psychometrically unsophisticated observers. And then authenticity. Bachman and Palmer define authenticity as the degree of correspondence of the characteristics of a given language test task to the feature of a target language task, and then suggest an agenda for identifying those target language tasks and for transforming them into valid test items. In a test, authenticity may be presented in the following ways. The language in the test is as natural as possible. Items are contextualized rather than isolated. Topics are meaningful, relevant, or interesting for the learner. Some thematic organization to items is provided, such as through a storyline or episode. Tasks represent or closely approximate a real-world task. And then we have a washback. In a large-scale assessment, Washback generally refers to the effect the tests have on instruction in terms of how students prepare for the test. Washback also includes the effects on an assessment on teaching and learning prior to the assessment itself. One way to enhance Washback is to include the effects of an assessment on teaching and learning prior to the assessment itself. A little pack of Washback may also help students through a specification of the numerical scores on the various subsections of the test. To determine whether a test is practical for your needs, you may want to use the checklist. Okay, so I will repeat it. Applying principles to the evaluation of classroom tests. Are the test procedures practical? To determine whether a test is practical for your needs, you may want to use the checklist. First, are administrative details clearly established before the test? Can students complete the test reasonably within the set time frame? Can the test be administered smoothly without procedural glitch? Are all materials and equipment ready? And the cost of the test within budgeted limits? Is the scoring or evaluation system feasible in the teacher's time frame? Are methods for reporting results determined in advance? As the checklist suggests, after you account for the administrative details of giving a test, you need to think about the practicality of your plans for scoring test. And then, is the test reliable? Part of achieving test reliability depends on the physical context. For example, every student has a cleanly photocopied test sheet. Sound amplification is clearly audible to everyone in the room, and video input is equally visible to all. Lighting, temperature, extraneous noise, and other classroom conditions are equal and optimal for all students. An objective scoring procedure leaves a little debate about correctness of an answer. And then does the procedure demonstrate content validity? There are two steps to evaluating the content validity of a classroom test. Are classroom objectives identified and appropriately framed? Consider the following objectives for lessons, all of which appeared on lesson plans designed by students in teacher preparations program. Students should be able to demonstrate some reading comprehensions. To practice vocabulary in context, students will have fun through a relaxed activity. To give students a drill on the E and L contrast, students will produce yes or no questions with final rising intonation. And then our lesson objective represented in the form of test specifications. It simply means that the test should have a structure that follows logically from the lesson or unit you are testing. Many tests have a design that divides them into a number of sections, like corresponding perhaps to objectives that are being assessed, and then offers students a variety of item types and gives an appropriate relative weight to each section. And then, is the procedure phase valid and biased for pass? Discussion integrates the concept of phase validity with the importance of structuring an assessment procedure to elicit the optimal performance of the students. Students will generally judge a test to be phase valid if directions are clear, the structure of the test is organized logically, its difficulty level is appropriately pitched, the test has no surprises, and timing is appropriate. And then are the test tasks as authentic as possible? Evaluate the extent to which a test is authentic by asking the following questions. Is the language in the test as natural as possible? Are items as contextualized as possible rather than isolated? Are topics and situations interesting, enjoyable, and or humorous? Is some thematic organization provided, such as through a storyline or episode? Do tasks represent or closely approximate real-world tasks? And then, does the test offer beneficial washback to the learner? The design of an effective test should point the way to beneficial washback. A test that achieves content validity demonstrate relevance to the curriculum in question and thereby sets the stage for washback. When test items represent the various objectives of a unit and or when sections of a task clearly focus on major topics of the unit, classroom tests can serve in a diagnostic capacity even if they aren't specifically labeled as such. Other evidence of washback may be less visible from an examination of the test itself. Here again, what happens before and after the test is critical. Preparation time before the test can contribute to washback since the learner is reviewing and focusing in a potentially broader way on the objective in question. By spending classroom time after the test reviewing the content, students discover their areas of strength and weakness. Teachers can release their washback potential by asking students to use test results as a guide to setting goals for their future effort. The key is to play down the oh, I'm glad that's over feeling that students are likely to have and play up other learning that can now take place from their knowledge of the results. Again, that's all about the chapter 2. Thank you for your attention and see you.